My name is Zoha Ali Zain, and I just completed my bachelor's in psychology at University of Calgary. So the reason why I chose psychology as my major was because I think from quite early on, I realized that I was quite interested in this field, especially because of how relatable and applicable it is to everyday life. And I think it's so fascinating to read about the human mind and to understand how our environment and different things affect the way we think and the way we act. So when I was doing my research on what universities to apply to in Canada, one of the ones that popped up was University of Calgary, and I looked more into the psychology program it offered, and I found that it was a good fit for me, particularly since I was an international student. The best thing that was I didn't need to do any foundation year or take any extra classes, and it was basically a direct entry into the program. Plus, University of Calgary is one of the top research universities in Canada, and I think it would be an amazing thing to just be part of it. This program does tend to offer more lecture-based classes, but depending on what course you're taking, you might have a few lab-based components as well. And as you specialize further into your degree, there tends to be more focus on research papers and group work. I think to do well in this program, time management is an important skill to have, but also the fact that if you're just interested in the course and you're willing to reach out to your professor and attend classes, you should be able to do well in the class and in the program itself. So what I really liked about the psychology program in University of Calgary was the variety it had to offer. There are so many different courses that you can choose from depending on your area of interest. So for example, you can take a course on health psychology, abnormal psychology, or social psychology, and so on. And I think this really plays into doing well in these classes because ultimately you have so many options to choose from, but you're going to go for something that you're interested in. So I think that really increases your chances of doing well in the class as well. I think a few of the classes that I ended up taking was abnormal psychology, I took developmental psychology, I took health psychology, I took forensic psychology, and I think it just helps you get an idea of what to expect from the field of psychology. Like I mentioned earlier, as you tend to specialize further into your degree, more research components and writing paper get added on. So for all the incoming students out there, you want to be mentally prepared to read some long research articles and write some research papers, and you want to make sure that you like reading and writing to do well in these sort of classes. In regards to the application process of the university, I think it was quite relatively simple. The only thing that I had to submit additionally was my English language proficiency test, but that was only because I was an international student. The university also automatically considers you for a scholarship, so when you're applying, you don't have to fill in any additional scholarship forms, but they do have various categories of scholarships available, so it's always a good idea to check on their website and see if there's something additionally that you want to apply for, and those scholarships might have a form, so you might need to fill out those. I think the best person to reach out to is your program advisor, and I would recommend you to do this as early on as possible. So this will give you a better idea of how to organize your classes, not only just for your first year, but for your entire duration of the program. And I think what University of Calgary does, and I think all other universities do, is that they allow you to plan your degree out way earlier on. So you don't do it just one semester before, you do it for the year itself. So for example, in my first year, I only had to take an intro psychology class, and I was free to take any open options of free electives as my remaining courses. And I ended up choosing classes that I was interested in. In terms of what future holds for a psychology degree. It is important to know that this field does require a lot of specialization and further studies. So in Alberta, for example, you can only call yourself a psychologist once you have completed your master's degree and you've given your licensing exams. But in any other province in Canada, you would actually require a PhD, and then you would require to give your licensing exams, and then only then you can call yourself a psychologist. In terms of internships, in this university or in this program, an internship was not a necessary requirement, but if you do get any opportunity to do some research work with a professor, or if you get any volunteering opportunities, you should definitely take them up, I think, because these are the ones that get counted toward your CV, and they end up playing an important role when you start applying for your jobs and masters. I actually lived on campus for my first year, and I think that helped me find friends and develop a lot of bonds. And I actually ended up moving in with my friends in my second year, so that was really fun. My uni experience outside of academics at the University of Calgary was amazing. I think there was so much to learn and so much growth that I did personally. I got involved in clubs that I was really interested in, and I think that made my experience so much more enjoyable. I got to meet a lot more people through that, and it helped me build a lot more connections. So I would definitely recommend joining clubs in order to build connections and meet people. So when I first came into Calgary, I actually had no idea of what to expect and how I would make friends, but I think it is important to remember that everyone is in the same boat as you, in first year especially, so it's okay to be nervous. The best way to make friends is to meet people in class, maybe try saying hi to someone sitting right next to you, or sometimes professors even do these icebreaker sessions so that you would have to talk to someone who's sitting right next to you, when you never know, like, you might end up being good friends with them, you know? The University of Calgary actually offers quite a few resources for students to access. For example, we have a wellness center, and this has psychologists and therapists and chiropractors available on campus itself. There are also a bunch of academic support available. So we have something that's called the Student Success Center, and it offers writing support, and this can be particularly helpful if you have to write a research paper and if you just need guidance on how to complete an assignment. These are the people you can hit up. Also, the University of Calgary does have other resources available on campus, such as the Women's Center, the Faith and Spirituality Center, an Indigenous Support Center, as well as a Q Center, which is a safe space for the LGBTQ community. I think one of the most important things in my experience was the career services office that was available on campus, because it helped me in brushing my resume up and it helped me prepare for job interviews. So a lot of practical experience before I actually started applying for jobs. Lastly, in terms of advice, I think I would just like to say that it's okay if you don't have everything figured out just yet. Things will fall in place, and you shouldn't force yourself into doing something that you don't want to do. University life is all about exploring and figuring out what works best for you. So you want to make sure that you enjoy it as much as you can. I really hope that you find this video helpful, and thank you so much for watching.